to order of the Acton Conservation Forestry Committee, Tuesday, December 19th. Roll call. We're missing Mark Hurd. Right, Mark Hurd's not here. Okay, approval of minutes from November 21st, 2017. It's on the front of your packet. Do I have a motion on that?
Having been at the last minute, I think I'll pass on the last meeting.
Oh.
I think I get to pass on that one, but
Okay. Or are there questions?
Absent, so I can't. Second.
no, I will.
All those in favor? Okay. Old business. Ebo Hibo Road Parcel Access Update by Tom Cashin.
I think you'd have to refer to the...
Speak up, Tom. We want everybody to...
Refer to the note of, this dated December 18th, 2007. It's the fourth sheet from the back of your packet. I worked this letter up as a draft, Carl, so that the committee could look at it and suggest any changes and/or the use of it. Generally, do we want to send a letter to abutters notifying them of what we're going to be proposing to get them on board?
Yep.
And if the board approves of the letter, I'll volunteer with a helper to go through and get the parcels, owners and their names and addresses, and start this process moving forward with probably we'll get the blessing of the Board of Selectmen on that before we go too far on that project. But if the board would consider changes and a yea or nay vote on to whether or not to proceed on this particular item.
Thoughts on the letter?
I have concerns over its passive recreation use.
Definition of that term.
If we're talking about looking for information from abutting landowners or anyone that has concerns out there, the first thing that's going to come to pass is, are you going to lock it up for any vehicle use?
Right.
So you are immediately going to get hit by those who have rights to have vehicles out there. So is this implying that all vehicle traffic is going to be closed off?
I would suggest crossing out the word passive and dealing with that issue as it will arise in the course of discussions with the public on this.
Okay.
Lee Burnett, whom some of you know from past conservation work in the town, has helped us with a survey that is on the back table with the extra copies of the last month's meeting, and he suggested that because Sanford is taking a hard look at the use of ATVs on their town trail system, there's a meeting coming up, I want to say, on January 15th, I think it is. They have gone before the town council, and the town council has received too many complaints and feels there's no way to rectify the issue of ATV use except by bringing them into a meeting and telling them, you guys have got to be more considerate of other users of the trail, or else we're going to close it down for the use of ATVs. So, I mentioned to Lee that we didn't really want to end up being the pressure relief valve for the ATV clubs, so it's going to be an issue that we have to deal with somehow or other.
Steve, were you talking about, in passive, are you talking motorized usage, or are you talking landowner access? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm obviously, any motorized access for land management, whether it be logging or accessing the property, number one, it would imply that, or could imply that this is going to be a mutually exclusive proposition, that would be excluded.
Right.
We've talked about that in the past, or at least it's been mentioned in the past, that it would be closed to motorized vehicles in lieu of more passive recreational uses, and I think the mutual exclusivity of that is going to generate all kinds of nastiness. But yes, ATVs do come to pass too.
I mean,
Like
you
said,
couldn't
being like
block,
1A,
you can't block landowners from access. They can drive a vehicle in there. You can't stop them from that. But
Well, again, that's why this phrase, I'm just saying,
Right.
can't come off as sounding exclusive of that, is my
Right.
only thought.
and that's why it needs to be clarified. It's not the landowners that are going to be excluded from usage. I mean, there's obviously going to be logging going on in there, and people cutting firewood. And on the Lebanon end, they're talking about they may want vehicle access on their end because it's quite a ways to get into their town property to get to a trail anyway. That, it's would be like a 6-mile hike if you were to walk all the way in, do the trails, and come out. So,
Right.
So I think that issue is something we'll deal with down the road. I think more, Tom, what you're talking about is dirt bikes and ATVs and things that would make it not attractive as a trail for, uses that are obviously more family orientated.
Yeah, one thing that, to kind of encapsulate Lee's thinking, is he the chair of that committee in Sanford?
Who is the chair?
Is Lee?
Leave the chair.
Of the Sanford Trails, I'm not sure. It's either he or Hazen. It's probably Hazen.
Anyway, Lee's, one of Lee's responsibilities is as a member of the Sanford Trails Committee, so that's how he's helping, will be helping us if we want his help for advice on how to deal with subjects such as this, the motorized vehicle issue. But he said, in general, the more multi-use, i.e. inclusive of motorized modes, plus skiing and snowmobile and mountain bike and pedestrian traffic, that the more opportunities you give, what they have found in general is the fewer number of people totally will be using the trail. If I conveyed that idea clearly, the multi-use factor, bringing in what could be seen as a noisy, disruptive kind of a usage, would tend to diminish the number of bird watchers that you might get out there. Whenever, that's the sense that he conveyed to me, is that they gleaned through their survey. So we have some PR work, I guess, to do on that issue as to how to frame that. And we're going to have to pull some folks like Andy Brazier in to get their thinking on this, how those uses can coexist. But for now, as a editing process, I would just cross out or omit the word passive from this draft anyway.
Okay. Other questions on it?
Carl, when I get the date more concretely, I'll ask Whitney to publicize that for us in an email to members anyway, so that if anybody else wanted to get onto that Sanford Trails Committee in conjunction with the town council meeting, it might be helpful to attend. Okay?
Yep.
Can you you think we can make a decision as to whether or not to adopt the letter to the abutters?
Yeah, I'll take a motion if the discussion is over.
Well, let's just go around the table and see if anybody had any. I'm sorry it didn't, wasn't available earlier, but it wasn't. Whitney just did a great job pulling all this information together for us tonight.
I think the only piece that we will need is a contact. I mean, are we just going to give the town number there, or should we have someone be listed in that last paragraph there, if any of the landowners? Yeah, but in the last paragraph,
You're saying,
I'll mention giving like a person, so
you
that
know,
they
give
could
a person's
call.
name?
Yeah.
Sure, we
If
can do
we want
that.
to or don't want to, like, you know. I'm assuming
I suppose
you might
you're
have
right.
someone that reads the letter and immediately just wants to call someone.
Right. Right, either call them or email them, I guess.
Do you want to set up a date in the future where they could meet with us?
Set up a what?
Set a date in the future where they could meet with us? Is that going too far? You know, I mean,
Yeah, setting a date would kind of omit having them send their information to us.
you'd think that way down the line, but
Well, I mean, we wouldn't have to rely on them giving us their information. They could just come,
Setting a date for what?
like telling them our next meeting or when we would like to meet.
Oh, no, I don't think we should do that. I think we should send a letter and let them respond.
Okay.
The chances of them showing up at a meeting, and if they're really irate or something, then it's not gonna be good, so I'd rather have a response.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I mean, I can put my name down there, that's fine.
You want to just give them an email address?
An email, yeah, name and email. And I guess a phone number, right?
Do you want it?
Beware, Carl.
Okay.
I don't care, yeah, I can handle it. I mean, not everybody's got email, so it's not
Well, I
really
was
fit.
just thinking if they
Yeah.
called the town, they'd probably refer them to
Anyway,
you anyway.
Anyway, yeah, that's fine, yeah, that's all right. That's fine. Yep. I'm always looking for entertainment, you know?
Another fire to put out?
Yeah, okay. Anything else on that, then?
We got to vote, right?
Yes, we have to have a motion, though. Did we get a motion?
not yet.
Not yet, right, I didn't think we had a motion.
would it be wise to figure that on the, with the approval of this motion, would it be wise to kind of pencil in a attendance at the next Board of Selectmen's meeting in January, to just state that this process is going on and share this letter with them?
Share it with selectmen?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Yep. You're saying, do we need the selectmen's approval to send the letter out?
No, this would just be an informative meeting to share with them.
Yep.
The fact that we're doing it.
Sure. I would agree with that.
I think it would be probably advantageous to inform them prior to the posting of the letter. So if they did have any issues, they could express them. Is there a motion on the table?
No. There isn't a motion yet.
Whitney, do you have any reservations about this, or any wordsmithing to do?
No, I don't think so. The only thing was having a contact there. Does everyone agree with its tone and?
It'll start the wheels turning and bring about information, yeah, one way or the other. It'll start to set a temperature for things, which is really something that we need.
Well, I move that we adopt the letter with the changes that we spoke of pertaining to the contact info and inform the selectmen of our proposal to mail this out prior to mail.
Second. And the exclusion of the passive.
Yeah.
You second, Bill? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, good job, Tom.
What's that?
I said, good job. Thank you.
Thank Whitney that all of this information has been pulled together and is in front of you. Indispensable.
Next steps?
We just discussed them.
Detailed, yeah, as previously discussed. So the contact info is just going to be Garlic Davis at,
And a phone number,
okay,
right?
Yes.
Okay.
You want it?
I think I have it on the
You got it.
the
Okay.
contact sheet.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on the Hebo-Hibo, Tom?
not that I can think of, no.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the Town Farm Road Management Plan update. Is that draft warrant in here? There it is, yep. Second from the back, yep.
I was talking with Michelle Romney, the town treasurer, a week or two ago now, and explained to her what we might be proposing at town meeting. What page is that on?
It's just after the minutes,
Oh, okay.
third page.
The figure here, and Stephen's going to fill us in on this,
Right.
was just has no basis in the real world. I just came up with a number. but she said it would be somewhere along close to the wording as she's laid out here. And then she helped me out with a little bit of more information as to funds that are currently available that could be put toward this expense of the development of the plan.
Well, let me back up and give the context, I guess, Tom, that I talked to you on the phone about
Yep.
last night?
Yep.
Because that'll bring about changes to the warrant article to an extent. Since the last meeting, or around about the time at the last meeting, I'd made calls to Augusta for different cost share programs that are available to towns through federal money trickled down through the state to the towns through Project Canopy.
Yep.
I was waiting for a call back from Augusta at the time of last month's meeting. They had not yet passed the federal budget to be included with the monies to find out what the state had for this program. They should have that information now, as I understand it, but I have not yet received a call back in the last week from the lady in Augusta that runs Project Canopy. So I guess with regard to the warrant articles right now, the mechanism of the article is probably safe, but the thought behind it is that most of the cost share programs that fund these plans tend to work on a scenario where they give a per acre number, a dollar figure, to go toward the plan, which is usually met at fair market value to pay about 75% worth of the plan. So the punchline here is the $4,000 number probably is somewhat irrelevant if we can come by that cost share number, which I may have information for here
Good.
within, by the end of the year perhaps.
Yep.
So before anything like that is probably put forth, I would definitely want to make sure that we either do or don't have cost share monies coming to
Okay.
us.
Yep, good.
The plan itself, if it is a woods-wise qualified cost share plan, has the higher level wildlife and non-forestry considerations that are within it, which I know some of the townspeople want to make sure are included with this.
Yep.
So a lot of the dollar figures that we spoke about for the bare bones inventory and forestry guidelines with some extra things don't necessarily apply to this more high-level plan that we're referring to. But since the cost share is available with it, or presumed to be available with it, we'll have the higher-level plan that most are looking for at less money paid out by the town to do so.
Good.
So I guess I'm waiting back for that
Yeah.
information right now, and that would apply to both Lebanon if Don
Oh,
and the
yeah.
Lebanon Conservation Commission are
Oh,
looking
yeah.
to do the same thing with the budding pieces as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of working with both committees
Yeah.
to try to get that put together.
Okay.
So hopefully that information will be coming pretty soon.
We don't have a timeline, Tom, on this? I mean, is there any kind of deadline?
Well, it's kind of contingent upon how fast that information develops that Steve was speaking of.
Well, I would tend to think that I'll have the information on what has happened with the budget and what is happening with the state and how the state will allocate it within a week or two.
Week or two,
At
yeah.
maximum. Now, what happens is I can't necessarily say or get Augusta's information to say that they will allocate X dollars to the town of Acton for X number of acres of a plan yet. Because they have to put forth different training programs, because each year a budget comes through, they have a different process and different paperwork. And there'll be a little bit of retraining or familiarization with some of the paperwork of each of the new scenarios and budgets paperwork.
It is federal money.
Right.
So we all understand that.
So the punchline is that I think whether the money will be available to us is going to come reasonably quickly, that
Good.
information.
Yep.
And what that will allow the town to do and to move forward with refining its actions by the next meeting for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Excellent.
Can you help us, Whitney, with the, on the beginning with Habitat that you were able to?
Yeah. Well, looking at the maps, it would have helped if they were in color. Which there are there 3 in here. really, they're not very helpful not being in color.
Yeah, the color ones are a lot
The
nicer.
color on, the ones on
Yeah.
the email were, yeah.
But I did, I requested the beginning with Habitat data from the state, I think prior to the last meeting. And Tom asked me to put together some maps, just to kind of give a visual and aid our conversation here regarding the town farm property. There is a lot more going on than I thought. I've been back there, but I haven't walked the lines like you have, Steve. Don't know where that boundary is when I'm back there, so.
Well, the thought is that the intermittent stream is pretty straightforward. Shows up on town websites. We've
Yeah.
seen that in numerous sites. And obviously, this showed up more, the radius was from the wetland behind Bird's property, essentially, is what that wading bird habitat is.
Yep.
And that's what this is meant to indicate, is mostly wading bird, it seemed? What was
Well,
what was your hit on it primarily?
This is just beginning with Habitat data, so this is everything that's showing up on their,
Yep.
their radar.
But this
the-
radius down here on the southeast
That
corner came from,
circle is actually, recent location of state listed species. And if you, I looked that up, that was, a heron sighting.
Yep.
From the 90s, so if you want to say that's recent, then sure. That's what that's indicating, that they've seen great blue heron back
Yep,
there.
yep.
The smaller hash there that's going diagonal is the wading habitat, and that's kind of encompassing the entire wetland area.
gotcha, okay.
Like I said, you can't really see the difference between all of the,
Yep, no, I'm used to looking at them and I can draw a beat on that pretty easily.
it's
and
just
knowing-
showing the wetland extending up into that parcel.
Right.
Connecting with that intermittent stream. It's also brook trout habitat, the wading habitat. It shows various areas of grassland and upland forest. That's from a U.S.
What is the brook trout habitat?
Right along the stream.
Is that actually Heath Brook or
Yeah.
is that?
Uh,
I
not
think
Heath-
it's encompassing all of Heath Brook and its tributaries is what they're doing.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know if there was a specific,
Yeah, it's showing the 75-foot buffer around that stream.
right. Well,
And
well,
indicating
again,
brook
that's
trout.
from the intermittent ephemeral stream, but I didn't know whether this being included within the legend meant that within this map, there was some particular spot where it was designated that. The answer is no, because you're saying it's all the tributaries of a certain brook that
Well,
hit
it's
on brook
indicating
trout.
that this, it's coming
It's
up
a
that
crib of a
this
brook trout habitat.
tributary
Okay.
is brook trout habitat. I'm not sure of their process in labeling every stream a
Yeah,
brook
yeah.
trout habitat stream.
Well, I think.
I don't know if
right.
there's brook trout up
Well,
there.
well, no,
at
I
that
think
reach.
just for what it's worth from,
I know Heath
my-
Brook is,
I think
for
Heath
sure.
Brook is, so what they're doing is they're
Including
probably, it's
everything.
probably showing up here as that Heath Brook may be a brook trout habitat, but this is a crib of it or something to that effect.
Maybe.
But, yeah,
This just, it shows up on beginning with habitat, this is
yep.
there. I haven't edited their data whatsoever.
Yep.
Whitney, if we were to, use this as a show and tell part of the discussion in front of the, Board of Selectmen, how would we, if we were to try and share some maps with them, we'd just pull up the larger sheets that are in that three-ring binder that I have for Three Rivers? The beginning with Habitat data, the first edition, I guess? Or is there a
I'm
simpler
not sure
way?
what those look like.
Is there,
You can print these larger if you would like to use them.
no, it's the legibility with the absence of the color, so
Well, they'd need to be reprinted in color if you were to,
how do you, what does that entail? You have to go to,
does the town have, is only black and white color, or black and white printing?
I doubt if they had color.
I mean, I can print in color. Yeah, if you need them.
yeah, I wouldn't go overboard,
Yeah,
but
couple
if
of
Yeah,
if
minutes.
I
that
mean, we
were,
don't need to go to a
could
pay
just
for
get one.
printing
No, well, remember, if
services.
it's going to be, if it's already in an email format, then
It's digital,
you've already got
yeah.
the projector downstairs that can put
Yep.
it up on the wall in
That's
color,
easy
so
too.
if you, it can be seen, but you just don't necessarily need hard copies of it
Mm-hmm.
for everyone.
Would it be simple, just try and just generate one sheet of each, and then go down to the Zippy Copy and ask for some replicas of what we had?
Yeah, however you want to do it. It exists digitally, and you can, of course, print it in color if you want.
I think we should use the projector screen, like Steve said. I mean, that gets it
Yeah.
up in front of people and hold a meeting down there, you know?
Always retain a little more of the resolution when you're
Yep.
reviewing
Right.
a projector
Right.
too.
Um,
Lose a little bit of that with printing. There was another one I zoomed out a little bit just to show the drainage area where the parcel is kind of just in the landscape. These are out of order.
That's that one.
Last page.
Can you run that projector?
Second to
Yeah,
last.
that's not really, it's really awful not being in color.
Well, no, I follow it.
Yeah.
Just showing this drainage area.
Right, so this is the watershed, yes?
Yep, and
Okay.
all the way up in that northern point, that's Huzzy Hill. Southern extent Herd Hill down past Milton Mills Road. Just to show
Yeah.
the landscape we're talking about. And Heath Brook, I'm sure all of you know, crosses Milton Mills 3 times, actually, I believe. And then meets up with the outlet of Loon Pond and out to Lower Mousom.
Whitney, can you run one of those projectors?
Is it like an old projector or a new style projector?
No, it's
I could figure it out, I believe.
the one that Kenny has, you'd have to hook up with Kenny, and
Okay.
just, because he uses it every meeting just about down in the planning board. But I think there's a way to rig it up here as well. There's a screen they used to have up
Yep,
on the
pulls
ceiling.
down over here.
Well, that'll be at some further meeting in the future.
Anyway, sorry these aren't in color. They're a little more helpful.
Well, no.
Not black and
It's
white.
not, I don't think it's
They're just
necessary.
It's not
at this point.
necessary.
It's just information.
Yeah.
And all of these things, the Woods Wise grading plan that would work with the cost sharing includes all of this information in it as well. So it will be available at that time if you go that route.
Yeah.
So,
And this is, I mean, like you said, this is all publicly available information.
Right.
You can pull it up on the interactive maps that Beginning with Habitat has now. You just can't compare that to the parcel layer to see exactly where,
Where it
you know, the
is.
lines are
Yeah.
on that, so.
All right. Nice job.
What, can somebody come up with an overview of where we're at with this task here, project?
an overview of where we're with what, Tom?
Just to delineate next steps then. At our next meeting,
I would just stay in a holding pattern until the next meeting so that I can come up with cost share availabilities.
okay,
Anything that you would propose to selectmen is going to be irrelevant for dollar figures until you know what
Right.
the grade of the plan will be and what the cost share toward that will be.
okay. So we'll wait until we get a green light from you in terms of further directions and info from is that run through Maine Forest Service as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So they both have to kind of sign off on it?
Again, it is federal money as given to the state and disseminated through Project Canopy, which is a Maine Forest Service project, program.
In applying for it at the federal level, is that automatically trigger?
You don't apply for it at the federal level, you apply for it at the MFS level.
Oh, okay.
Okay, new business. Done? No new business. Okay. Other business?
Oh, okay, I went to the Maine Association Conservation Commission meeting the other day and told them that we had no money, and, but I renewed my membership as an individual member so that we still have contact with them.
Okay. Good. Good. Thank you.
Any reimbursement for that?
There was a little blip on Channel 6 about state funds for Natural Resource Council. I don't know what that was, but it mentioned Acton.
Really?
So I don't know what that was all about, but it was I don't know if we can go back and get the news again on their website or what, but it was sounds like Natural Resource Council of Maine, but there was funded projects and they had mentioned Acton, so I don't know what that was all
I
about.
was gonna say, what would
Is that
that
like
be?
AWA
I have
related
no
or
idea.
something?
I have
It
no
might
idea.
be, it's probably MNRCP. That's the Hanson Pond project the Land Trust is working on.
Okay.
It's probably that project, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I guess I could update the committee. The Land Trust got funding for, if people are familiar with the Pepin parcel out on the H Road,
Yes.
sure people are. So we've been working with the Pepins for the last 4 or 5 years, but we did finally get funding to purchase a little over 300 acres of that property. There'll still be roughly 50-something acres of working gravel pit, but it would include all the land around Hanson Pond, all the water frontage on the Little Ossipee River. And the Land Trust needs to raise some more money. We have to raise another $50,000, and then we would be able to complete the project. But MNRCP made a sizable donation. Yeah. Not a donation, I mean, it's public money. It's money that's put into a fund from developers that destroy wetlands, and then the money has to go be spent in the region where the wetlands were.
Mitigation money.
Yep. It's mitigation money. So we're in the southern region, and we actually had 2 projects in. We had one in Walnut Hill in Alfred, and one in Acton. Yeah, and both projects got funded on their end.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, no other business. I guess we'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Which news did